Coming up on Rugby Wrap-Up, head coach Gary Gould of Team USA. Brought to you by our friends of the British Council. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up in New York City. That's right, the Fantasy Sports Network, Studio 34 here in Midtown Manhattan. And we have another Friends of the British Council Community Corner segment. And we've got a big guest for you today. We've got none other than Team USA head coach Gary Gould calling in from the state of Colorado. Welcome, Coach Gould.
Thanks, great to be here.
Are you in Lafayette right now?
Yeah, that's right. At the offices at Lafayette and, getting down to some work for the June planning.
All right. Well, on behalf of the American rugby community, I want to officially welcome you to the United States, my friend. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's good to be here.
All right. So for the folks at home that might not know you, Coach, you have a very impressive rugby resume. And correct me at any given point where I might be mistaken, but it's taken you across the globe, specifically in the Premiership. You've been involved with the London Irish and Newcastle and Bath in a head coaching capacity. And most recently, you're with the Worcester Warriors as a director of rugby. You've also been in Japan. And in your native South Africa, you were an assistant coach with the Springboks. An important note there is that you were with a team that beat the All Blacks 3 times. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Three times. That is amazing. You were also head coach of Sharks and Western Province. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were also an assistant coach on the Springboks team that beat the British and Irish Lions.
Yes, that's correct.
You've done a lot, and you've had a lot of success.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I've done a lot. I think as a coach, you always want more success. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a greedy lifestyle we lead in terms of the fact that you always try to chase trophies and be successful. But for me, without going into too much detail, coaching is a lot more than just winning and losing for me. You know, it's about creating memories, creating incredible opportunities for young guys to enjoy this amazing game of rugby, and it's a metaphor for life. You know, it's a tough sport. I mean, you get a lot of ups and downs in rugby. It shows a lot of character in individuals, and as I say, you make some amazing friends in the sport. So that's why I've never really felt this is a job, because it's more of a passion. But I enjoy the job very much, and particularly a challenge like we have now with the Eagles is something that's incredibly exciting.
So you mentioned the Eagles. This is basically, out of all your experiences, I would imagine that maybe Japan comes closest in terms of, this being a Tier 2 nation, but even Japan has professional rugby. We are in the embryo stages of professional rugby here in the United States. So you're facing a whole different animal here. You're facing a country that really hasn't had that professional setup. You're facing size-wise, a vast country, which people overseas sometimes don't understand fully. And now you're here, and there's a bit of lack of resources. There are a lot of challenges for you here. What are your biggest challenges ahead of you right now?
I mean, I think you've summed it up really well. I think the biggest challenge at the moment now is that the game is not yet truly professional. If you consider the way any of the other major league sports run, and I'm talking about the big sports in NFL, NBA, NHL, even how much Major League Soccer has grown in the US, it's an incredible story. Because you're not at that size yet, you don't have those resources. And it's a slightly chicken and egg scenario, because you need to be successful in order to get those resources. And sometimes it's going to be trickier to become successful until you have those resources. So that's where the challenge lies, really. But I think there's a lot of solutions. I think there are a lot of solutions. I know there's been some troubled times over the last couple of years with the starting of potentially the game becoming professional and then slipping up a little bit. And obviously now we We're on the eve of the Major League Rugby starting, which I just think is incredibly exciting for the country, and just to get the game of rugby out into the masses, which is going to be brilliant. But there are challenges out there. But the funny thing is, you've got big challenges in Tier 1 countries as well. The crowds are down in Super Rugby at the moment. The format of the competition is flawed, and people are losing interest in the game from that point of view. So everybody's got their challenges, but I mean, wow, what better country to be in where there are challenges, because America understands sport, and that's what excites me so much about the passion and the enthusiasm behind the people running the game of rugby at the moment in the US.
So I got to bring it up. I know we spoke off camera, and you're not really fully up to speed, or it's not really your area of expertise, but you've got some struggles going on with Rugby International Marketing, the for-profit partner of USA Rugby, and you've got the board of directors of USA Rugby under some upheaval. Does this worry you in terms of the financial fitness of the overall entity and maybe affecting high performance at all?
Matt, as I explained to you when we had a brief conversation off camera as well, is the truth of the matter is I don't know enough about it. And I'm not so sure I'm actually that interested in the politics of what's going on. I mean, my focus area at the moment is well and truly around the Eagles, the boys that we're trying to assemble now for June. The only comment I can make about it is that there is movement, and there's movement, and there seems to be movement because there's accountability for things that perhaps haven't gone well. And if that's the case, then that's a healthy position. I think the governance of the game is in good hands, personally. Are there going to be some changes that need to be made? Possibly. I don't know enough about it, and it's not really my remit to make comments on that, as I said to you. So, I really think it's something I don't know enough about, and it's not really affecting me. In answer to your question, I feel we've got a good program here. I've got some great support from guys like Dan Payne and Dave Hodges and Alex Magleby have been very supportive. We've got a great coaching staff. There's a couple of areas we still need to work on, and we certainly need to improve in some areas quite drastically, if I'm honest. But we're getting there. The plans are in place, and I hope the cards will all align. Certainly by the end of the year, that we can feel we're in a very good position to prepare for the World Cup for next year.
Well, I got to tell you, the positives seem to be in line, and I might be the eternal optimist when it comes to USA Rugby, but they brought in a coach of your stature, and you are spending a considerable part of time here on American soil. In fact, you were just this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, watching some collegiate matches between CSU and Army, and then BYU and Arkansas. Is that not right?
Yes, that's right. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was fantastic fun. So we went up to Colorado State on Friday night and watched them play the Army, and then just popped across the Rockies to Utah and watched BYU, as you say, playing against Arkansas State, which I thought was an outstanding game of rugby. The quality was really, really good, and a good game to watch as well. Very competitive, good skill level. I thought both teams were very, very well coached as well, as I did the night before. The unfortunate thing on the Friday night is it was absolutely Baltic. It was so cold, so it was very difficult for the two teams to get anything going. But again, I've got to say, really impressed with the coaching staff there. I mean, two amazing coaches that I met on Friday night and on Saturday, and the guys know what they're doing. I mean, it's an impressive outfit, and I'm a big proponent of college football or rugby.
Well, it's in essence, it's basically part of the minor league process, or there is no Division II for us in rugby for you. Like people, I see them on the internet saying, "Well, why don't you just treat it like England? You've got this and that and that." And then you just mentioned you had to cross the Rockies, and that's just one section of the country, one small town, and I mean one state, and you've got all this travel. It's like you can't hop on a train in Exeter and go to London, right? The enormous geography.
No, you're 100% right. As you said, was just one state flight, and I mean, it pretty much consumes your whole day by the time you've got to the airport and flown and arrived there. So you're 100% right, Matt. I mean, the logistical challenges are incredible. Again, you spoke earlier on about the challenges that we've got lying ahead of us. I mean, even just to assemble a team, you're not assembling a team from where if I use South Africa, for example, the longest distance you're going to fly is a 2-hour flight. If you're assembling the entire Springbok team from around the country, here you're flying guys from Europe, you're flying guys from New Zealand and Australia who are part of the national team as well, and then you're flying them from every one of the states from America or wherever they are based. So it is a logistical, it's a very tough logistical prospect, and I have no doubt that that's also been a factor in terms of being able to not allow the game to necessarily have grown as quickly as rugby enthusiasts would have liked it to. But I do think the advent of the MLR is going to make a significant difference.
All right, hold that thought, Coach. We're going to break for a quick commercial, and we'll be right back with Coach Gary Gould of Team USA after this.
Been blind since I was 4, and I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste. And my beer is Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
Hey everybody, we're back. Matt McCarthy for Rugby Wrap-Up here at the Fantasy Sports Network Studio 34 with our Friends of the British Council Community Corner segment with Mr. Gary Gould, Coach Gary Gould of Team USA's Eagles. Coach, we left you a moment ago when we were just about to talk about the MLR. And you've got Major League Rugby in your backyard, specifically the Glendale Raptors and Rugby Town USA. And in your backyard, I mean by Lafayette, Colorado. Do you intend on going to a lot of the matches?
Oh, sure. This weekend, we're going to the Glendale game, which is here in Glendale, as you say, and then Sunday going up to Seattle to watch Seattle play San Diego. So, really exciting times at the moment now. Getting to see, I think it's about 60% of the national team, guys who were assembled during the ARC are playing Major League Rugby. The great thing is they're getting to play rugby, which is the one thing that I'm obviously very, very stoked about. And then obviously being so close to where we are at the moment now and being able to monitor all 3 games a weekend, I think it's going to be about 3 games a weekend. We'll be able to monitor that and keep a close eye on the boys, which makes life a lot easier when they're closer to home. Even though the distances are far, we still going to make the footage and watch them play regular rugby. So very exciting times. I've been in touch with a handful of the coaches at the teams. I think they're all preparing really well. I think everybody's excited about it. And if you just see a couple of the preseason fixtures and a couple of the results, I think it's going to be a highly competitive competition. A lot of fun.
So that's good news to hear that you're going to be attending these matches. And are you handing down to some of the teams maybe some requirements that you'd like to see them implement in terms of training for potential Eagles?
No, I don't think I would say we go as far as that. What we have done is we've reached out to every one of the franchises, every one of the MLR teams. We made contact with the coaches and the management team over there. We have shared with them all our players' ARC reports and all the areas we believe we want to work on. I'm very, very keen to have a completely, totally transparent relationship with all the coaches. I'm very happy to share what we are trying to do and the objectives of the skill set around the skill requirements per position, around fitness levels, conditioning levels, which are areas we can really have a significant effect on. Obviously, we have GPS technology these days, so like to share that information with the teams in terms of what our expectations are. But certainly, no, I mean, each one of these coaches is highly experienced in their own right. And I'm quite sure they wouldn't need me or any of us at USA Rugby telling them how to coach their team. But what I would like to encourage is an open collaboration between ourselves and the teams, and a sharing of knowledge. And we're certainly going to put that into place to offer our assistance to any of them if there's anything that they need from us, really.
Well, you mentioned positions, and you've got some needs on Team USA. You were a hooker yourself, and you've seen this position of hooker evolve, right? I mean, it's no longer what it was.
Yeah.
Positional players are being asked to do more. You just mentioned GPS. I mean, it's like one of the things is they monitor how much time you're on the ground, right? And then you got to get back up on your feet and back into play, right? What are you looking at in terms of strengths and weaknesses in your positional situation with USA Rugby's national team?
Well, Matt, without going into too much long, boring detail of every position, certainly one of the issues you can control if, I'll just say it because it is. We are currently a tier 2 country, obviously not yet in the top 10 of world rugby yet, and that's certainly an objective. And when you have a look at all those criteria that are laid out and what you're going to need, what we are going to need to do at the Eagles in terms of being able to achieve that. Well, one of the things that you're going to have to be able to take a handle of, which is something you can completely control, and that's the lifestyle of the players. Their fitness levels, their strength levels, their dietary behavior, their nutritional behavior. Everything they do put into their bodies is absolutely critical. So from our point of view, that's and I mean, what better country in the world that understands strength and conditioning than USA? I mean, if you consider the amount of fantastic athletes that USA do have in across all sorts of sports, from track and field to all the major sports that we spoke about a little bit earlier. So those resources are available, and those abilities you are able to achieve those abilities with your players. So I think that's a bit of a non-negotiable from our point of view. I mean, answer to your question about the hooker. That's a really good position to take as an example, because, as you said, it has changed. I mean, a handful of years ago, maybe even before the game became professional, so a lot of hookers could also play prop. They were big, strong scrummagers, and they were probably part of the tight 5 club where, as long as they scrummed and they mauled and they hit rucks, that was probably what they needed to do. The hooker had a little bit more of a responsibility, because obviously he was responsible in those days for hooking, to come back now, and then obviously throwing in the lineouts. In my time, when we threw in the lineout, before the wings threw in the lineouts, and
that's right.
That was the responsibility. That was the responsibility of the hookers. But nowadays, the hookers are seen as a fourth loose forward. If you take the world-class hookers at this moment in time, I mean, Dane Coles, you could put him as a blindside flanker. Bismarck Du Plessis, Malcolm Marx, even a couple of the hookers in France, and even the Italian hooker as well, Geraldino, I think is his name. I mean, these guys are athletes. These guys are running the equivalent on Broncos and bleep tests that loose forwards are running. So the makeup, and then they've still got to go and scrum, and then they've still got to go do their main responsibility of getting the ball in the line out. So, the demands of the game have become great over the last couple of years. The collisions, I mean, because they are being measured, are becoming a lot more ferocious. So the body has to be better conditioned to be able to take those collisions. And that's the beauty with the sport. It still is, with all the changes that they've done and the law changes and the variations that they've tried to change and interpretations of law. The game is still a collision sport, still a contact sport, which is fantastic, and you still, you've got to physically dominate your opponent, whether that's in the quality of a tackle or the power of a carry and the ability to use your footwork to get the offload away. You still need to have that skill set. So conditioning has become such a major factor in the game at the moment now, and something that we're putting a lot of time and energy into.
Okay, so Coach, I'm getting barked at from downstairs. We're just about out of time, and I could talk rugby with you forever. And I guarantee you, I'm going to chew your ear off a bit when we get out there in Glendale together at the home opener between the Raptors and the Austin Elite. But 3 quick questions for you, real briefly, before I let you go.
Sure.
Number one, do you have a position on the field that you consider the most important?
I'd probably say 2, 9, and 10. They probably have the most influence on the game.
2 and 9 and 10. Basically, that's like a baseball reference, strength up the middle in a way.
That's it. Exactly, the spine of the team.
That's right. Okay. Your favorite moment in rugby?
I think any time we've won a trophy, which Power Gen Cup with London Irish, or I think winning the series against the British and Irish Lions was really up there. But I'd probably say beating New Zealand in Hamilton to win the Tri-Nations in 2009.
That's a good one. That's got to be a big memory. And finally, I know it's early, but fans out there are wondering, do you have any kind of expectation at what success would be out of World Cup 2019?
I want us to be really competitive in the pool. The pool's a very tough pool. I'm realistic about how far I think we can go in the Rugby World Cup, but I really, really think we can be competitive. I think we can ask questions of all three of the four opponents we're playing. I'm not going to put expectations down in terms of winning or losing, but I want the Eagles fans to be really proud when they watch the team in the Rugby World Cup. I want them to feel that there's a lot of fight in the guys, and that we've put up a really good show against what is, I think, probably the pool of death.
All right, well, Coach, I really appreciate your time, and I know you don't want to give anybody any locker room fodder by making a prediction, but you've been successful everywhere you've gone and helped organizations become better every time you've been there. And I just want to say that we're all looking forward to seeing you and your team do well, and we think you will, and we appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for your support through the whole of the ARC. Appreciate it.
All right, my friend. And on that note, on behalf of Coach Gary Gould, Matt McCarthy here at the Fantasy Sports Network Studio 34 in our Friends of the British Council Community Corner segment, signing off.